Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. Today, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the new Black Label Society studio album, Engines of Demolition. First off, just some fast album facts. Engines of Demolition is the 12th studio album by Black Label Society, released today on March 27th, 2026, through MNRK Music Group, and it's the follow-up to Doom Crew Inc. from 2021, making this the longest gap in between BLS albums, and of course with Zach touring with Pantera, it's been a while, but Black Label Society are back, and personnel on this album include Zach Wilde on vocals, piano, and guitars alongside Dario Lorena, Jeff Fab on drums, and John DeServio on bass. Time for John's 5, my top 5 favorite songs from the new record. Coming in at number 1, I'm going to go with the album closer, Ozzy's song, and Now I'm Sad All Over Again. You know, what a touching ballad to remember Ozzy from Zach. Black Label Society always do ballads really well. For some reason, Zach's voice lends itself beautifully to these types of tracks, and he's able to convey a lot of emotion in his delivery, and the piano work is a great touch here too. And literally, the first line here, right? I saw you yesterday before you went away, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna hurt so bad. And yeah, it's not a fun album closer, but a super reflective one, and I still can't believe Ozzy's gone, right? And the lyrics here legit gave me goosebumps the first time I heard it, and it feels honestly like Zach wrote another In This River. You know, far and away the best Black Label Society ballad since that song, with a wailing guitar solo. I mean, it sounds like Zach's guitar is crying, and there have been a lot of Ozzy tributes, you know, since his passing, a lot of them done out of respect and reverence, but Zach's been with Ozzy since No Rest for the Wicked. You know, he was there on stage with him at Back to the Beginning, you know, so this feels like one of the most genuine, heartfelt, and emotionally charged tributes I've heard so far since Ozzy's passing, so somebody please give this dude a hug and buy him a non-alcoholic beer. Number 2, Lord Humungus. Is that a Mad Max reference? This song feels massive with some fat, nasty riffs from Zach Wilde that, you know, make this song feel, in a word, humongous, you know, for sure. One of the more memorable Black Label Society songs in a long time. This finds the band in peak form here, blending their signature groove-heavy sound with raw power and a relentless intensity, and the whole thing feels explosive and high impact with just pounding rhythms on here and blistering guitar riffs, and there's definitely a bit of an anthemic energy running through this track as well. Next up here at number 3, I'm going to go with Name in Blood. Awesome opener here to the record, and Zach is so good at writing these really memorable chugging riffs and huge hooks that you can sing along to, and this is a, you know, classic Zach Wilde guitar solo here. He's such a distinctive player, and this song in general is pretty clean and radio-friendly, and there's nothing wrong with that at all, you know. Great vocal melodies, and it's a pretty straightforward way to kick things off. Next to number 4 here, we have The Gallows. Great lead single for this record, released back in 2024, and fun fact, this is actually the first short that I ever did on the channel, was reviewing The Gallows when it came out. At that point, we didn't know too much about Engines of Demolition, just it was a standalone single then, but this is, you know, of course, in classic Black Label Society style. You've got a great chugging riff and a signature Zach solo, and I definitely get Order of the Black vibes from this track, and as a lead single, I wouldn't say it's indicative of a stylistic shift back to Order of the Black, but it's cool to kind of draw that parallel for this song, and I love Doom Crew Inc. a lot, but this very well might be their best record since Order of the Black, so I guess it's kind of an appropriate callback here. Really powerful chorus, and super easy to get stuck in your head. And rounding out my top 5 here, let's go with Above and Below. You know, by this point in the album, I'm completely immersed in the doomy, soul-crushing guitar work, fully lost in the riffs here, and this track is absolute riff city, and I might sound like a broken record at this point, but it's genuinely impressive that, you know, Black Label Society, especially Zach, continues to deliver riffs of this caliber all these years later. You know, this song strikes a great balance, I think, between crushing, heavy moments and more ambient, emotional passages as well, and the transition to softer vocals is handled so smoothly. You know, you almost don't notice the shift, right? It's seamless in my opinion, and meanwhile, Zach's solos also remain mesmerizing. They're fluid and they're expressive, right? They're always evolving, and what's remarkable is how all this fits into a 3.5-minute track without ever feeling, you know, rushed or overcrowded. All in all, I'm going to give this album 9 out of 10. You know, I went into this album with high expectations. You know, Zach Wilde is a riff master and one of the most consistent players out there, and Black Label Society have a very consistent catalog as well, but still, they managed to blow me away here with this record. easily their best, in my opinion, since Order of the Black. This album feels like a full emotional roller coaster, moving effortlessly from, crushing, head-banging riffs and massive hooks, then to more stripped-down, reflective moments like Ozzy's song, Better Days, Wiser Times, and Back to Me. And the transitions are so smooth, and the pacing never drags. Everything feels intentional on here. It's tight, it's punchy, and completely free of filler as far as I'm concerned. Every track stands out, and lyrically, probably their most vulnerable record in years. And there's a natural ebb and flow to this album throughout the whole thing that gives it, a sense of cohesion. And on top of that, the band sound completely locked in here, and the production is sharp, it's polished, but, it doesn't lose any of its weight either. There's a lot of, heavy weight from the riffs and stuff, but also some real emotional weight on here too. So I think 9 out of 10 is fair. Between this and the new Neurosis album we got, we've had two, serious Album of the Year contenders this week, and the closing track, Ozzy's song, can't say enough good things about it. Kind of leaves you in an emotional limbo, right, with nowhere to go, and that feels intentional, right? I mean, it doesn't really resolve anything, it just kind of sits with you, and so I don't know whether to, go spin some Ozzy or go listen to that track again, so I think I'll do both. So that wraps up this review here of the new Black Label Society studio album, Engines of Demolition. Like I said, big fan of this album. Somehow they managed to top my expectations, and I had very high hopes for this record to begin with. But Ozzy's song, man, that is just really, really beautiful stuff. Like I said, their best ballad since In This River, and overall their best album since 2010 as far as I'm concerned. So definitely going to be an Album of the Year contender when all is said and done. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, turn on the bell for notifications so you don't miss a new upload. Follow me on Instagram at the CD Guy JZ, and let me know down in the comment section below what are your thoughts on Engines of Demolition. I want to hear from you. Until next time, it's the CD Guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody.